welcome to ET Now Startup Central, India's first and only daily show dedicated to startups and entrepreneurship. I'm Chandra Shrikant joining you live from Bangalore, and we have a power-packed 20 minutes lined up for you today.
And I'm Kumar coming to you live from ET Now's Mumbai studios. First up, I check on all that's making headlines in the world of startups. Startups raise the pitch for net neutrality just days before TRAI's recommendations on differential pricing. Over 500 startups and venture capitalists write to Prime Minister Modi, urging him to ensure that net neutrality is not violated. A PIL has been filed at the Delhi High Court asking for an investigation into all FDI transactions in e-commerce. The PIL alleges violation of the Foreign Exchange Management Act, or FEMA, by all companies. It's the first sale of the year 2016 and Flipkart clocks strong numbers with fashion and mobile phones continuing to drive demand. We get you a roundup of how the Republic Day sales have fared so far. And it's a major top-level shake-up at Twitter. 4 top executives have left the microblogging website in the biggest leadership change since Jack Dorsey returned as CEO. And over 500 venture capitalists and startups put together have written a personal message to Prime Minister Modi, urging him not to leave net neutrality alone on differential pricing debate. Chandra.
That's right, they've really raised the pitch as far as a neutral net is concerned. And remember, the timing is crucial because this comes days before telecom regulator TRAI is expected to come out with recommendations on net neutrality. And the people who are signatories to this petition include the who's who of the unicorn in the startup world: Paytm's Vijay Shekhar Sharma, Zomato's Dipinder Goyal, venture capital firms like Seed Fund, Bessemer, as well as policy think tanks such as iSprit. To really help you understand the arguments made by these startups and the impact, this is really going to be our top story on ET Now Startup Central. And let's take it straight to Gauri Dwivedi, who's been tracking this issue very closely. Gauri, take us through the contents of this petition to the Prime Minister, and also what's prompted this, considering this comes just days ahead of TRAI's recommendations.
We so certainly have not heard the last as far as the differential pricing debate is concerned. Today, 500 startups and VC players have in fact written to the Prime Minister's office saying that the PMO's intervention is extremely important to ensure net neutrality principles are not violated in India. Now, the backdrop really is Facebook's massive campaign around Free Basics platform. The company went ahead and said to ensure access of internet to poor, it is important that the Free Basics platform should in fact be promoted. Social media netizens were on the other side of this entire debate. Startup companies like Paytm, Zomato, a lot of VC players, all of whom incidentally have signed in this petition, of course told and said that Free Basics platform would actually mean end of innovation as far as internet is concerned. So all those arguments have been put forth by 500 odd startup companies and VC players in their letter to the PM, and they have said that they are reaching out to the Prime Minister simply because they feel that at this stage differential pricing could have disastrous consequences if principles of net neutrality are not followed. Now, it remains to be seen whether or not there will be a PMO's intervention at this stage or not. It's important to note that TRAI recommendations on this subject are expected by the end of the month, and then of course a policy will be policy direction will be known. But one thing is for sure, this debate is far from over. FB versus free internet or save the internet is a campaign and a debate that we will hear or continue to hear for some more months at least.
Thank you, Gauri, for bringing us that update all the way from New Delhi. Now, we have 2 very special guests joining us here on ET Now Startups, and to take that forward. One is Mr. Mahesh Murthy, co-founder of Seed Fund, and the other is Mr. Nikhil Pava of Media Nama. Thank you, both of you gentlemen, for taking time out to be with us here on ET Now Startup Central. Mahesh, I'm going to start things with you. Startups and venture capitalists have clearly raised the pitch this time around when it comes to neutrality. This time, will it be heard, Mahesh?
Well, we do hope so. I mean, what we basically know right now is that there's a really big fear that all our investee companies will start having to pay a tax to Airtel or a tax to Facebook just to be seen by the next 100, 200, 500 million internet users in India. The second thing that's been fresh in our minds is we have a company with over 1 billion connections in mobile internet, but our entire mobile VAS service, that entire industry has collapsed to zero because the telcos choked it off and killed it. So what could have been $1 billion business has basically created to zero. We've seen this happen before. Once you allow the telcos to be the gatekeepers and the toll takers on the internet, you basically kill all kinds of innovation in that particular sector in India. We want the internet to be open. We want all startups to have an equal ability to be found by customers, especially the next 400-500 million customers in India. And this is what we believe. I mean, we've been going through this process. We fought it a year ago. Facebook came back with a lot of money to open the process again. And this time we want to go right to the Prime Minister to say, dear Mr. Modi, you've really batted out for entrepreneurs. You've had a great Startup India program. If you really believe in Startup India, you must have a net neutral India. That's really what we're saying.
Absolutely, Mahesh. Hold on with us because I'm going to bring in Nikhil Pava at this point in time. Nikhil, talk to us. We're talking about a PMO intervention over here because net neutrality is going to be the basic necessity for Prime Minister's own Startup India, Stand Up India, isn't it?
Yes, I just looked at the updated figures. It's about 652 startup founders so far who've signed this petition. I think what's important to note is that in the open house session that took place last week, the telecom operators came out very, very strongly demanding that they be allowed to price differently for accessing different sites. So, for example, Amazon could be made free and Flipkart would be charged at 10 rupees per MB for just accessing it. We don't want those situations to arise, and as founders, I think there's a great deal of concern that the telecom operators could insert themselves into a direct relationship between my site and my user. So that's essentially the idea behind this, that we want to ensure that the telecom operators are a very, very powerful lobby. We want to make sure that the voice of startup founders who the Prime Minister has supported with Startup India, we hope that their voices are heard.
Right. Nikhil and Mahesh, either of you can comment on this. This petition has gone out just days before TRAI's own recommendations are expected to come out. Considering, TRAI is already cheesed off with Facebook because its campaign was very in your face. Now you have written this. I mean, TRAI might think that, you're indirectly trying to apply pressure. So, in a sense, do you think this could, isn't there concern that this could also boomerang? Mahesh, you comment on this first.
So I think, we're not clear about the line of decision-making as yet. While there is the PM and the PMO, and after that there's Mr. Ravi Shankar Prasad. Mr. Prasad has made it clear that even though in the past that even though TRAI will come up with a guideline, they're not beholden to it. There is a separate consultative committee of ministerial consultative committee who is yet to be heard, and even their recommendations are not necessarily what will be taken up. So there's really lots of levels of I think decision-making, advisory, and maybe potential deniability through this entire thing. So we're trying to just go to the top out here and say, what, dear Mr. Modi, if you come in, pretty much you can line everybody up with you. And actually, Nikhil, I was saying that the total, by the way, is up almost at 1,400 signatories as of right now to the petition that has gone to the Prime Minister. The thing is, we believed that a year ago this was closed, but with the ad spend of reputedly 300-400 crore rupees, this was opened up again with Mr. Zuckerberg's personal lobbying of Mr. Modi. This was opened up again. While we don't really have any issue with Mr. Zuckerberg, we like his idea of giving charity to India. We say, don't sit back and say your charity means free Facebook. Give, free 100 MB to everybody in India. Will be very happy. We'll love you as much as anybody else. So our point here is not against any one bloc. It's just to say keep the internet open in India. It's what the TRAI and the Telecom Ministry in India has done a great job in bringing India to 1 million connected user devices and user accounts. What we want to do is just make sure that and out of these 1 million connected devices, we have 350 million internet users. What we want is the next 500 million internet users to also enjoy exactly the same open, free, completely equally accessible internet like the first 350 million have. Let's not break up the internet into small enclaves like the Facebook enclave or the Reliance enclave. We don't want that to happen. Let it be an open playing field, because when these users come on, startups will need to address them and sell them products and basically cater to them. And startups can't do that if Airtel controls 100 million users, Reliance controls 50 million users, Facebook controls 200 million users, and somebody else controls 25 million users. And there's no single way. You've got to pay toll tax at every area. There should not be a toll tax on the internet. We should have a neutral, open, equally accessible full internet for everybody.
Right. Mahesh, I get your point on not breaking up the internet, but Nikhil, what about services such as a Wikipedia or maybe a Khan Academy, which will end up benefiting a lot of people who've not come to the internet and to really use the internet in a very productive way. So does this have to be black or white, or can there be some services that can be allowed vis-a-vis others, some services that perhaps have more public interest than others? What's your take on that?
So, the way we look at it is who decides which services service public interest better. You see, Wikipedia, Khan Academy, these are services which have become big and which have grown in an ecosystem where there are other non-profits who are also competing with them. So they've benefited from the open internet, from the open web. So we need to focus on the bigger picture. The bigger picture is getting broadband to everyone, allowing them to access whatever they want, letting them choose, and bringing cost of access down for everything. Let people decide. The moment a carrier inserts itself in that relationship, they start picking winners and they start discriminating. They've done it in the past, and we want to ensure that they don't get that choice. Tomorrow, if someone starts an educational service which is way better than Khan Academy, right? Why would they be deprived of an audience by a telecom operator that decides that Khan Academy is the one that they choose? Everyone deserves an equal opportunity to compete online and to also contribute. You see, every consumer is also a creator online. This means that I can go and create something which can benefit someone else. A student can create an app specifically for farmers in Maharashtra, for example. Why should that student have to go and deal with a telecom operator to make his service free? Who are you and I to decide what is more beneficial than the other? I think that's not the right approach to this policy.
Thank you so much, Mahesh Murthy and Nikhil Pawar, two of the signatories on that important petition. We'll really have to wait and see where it goes from here, but perhaps we will know in the next week or so. What do we have next, Krishna?
Well, there's some more trouble for e-commerce websites, Chandra. A PIL has been filed in the Delhi High Court seeking a probe into the FDI transactions in these companies. The plea also seeks an investigation against all alleged FEMA violations by e-commerce giants. We are being joined now by Arun Nayal from New Delhi with more details. Arun, more complaints against e-commerce sites for flouting FDI rules, aren't there?
Yes, definitely more complaints in the Delhi High Court against these e-commerce sites. Now, the fresh PIL says that the FDI transactions and the route of FDI investment should be looked into by the authorities in these e-commerce sites. Though no name of any of the companies is not mentioned in the petition, but it has generally questioned the model of FDI route investment in these companies. It has said that the parent company invests in an Indian arm forms a front company through which it diverts FDI money, and that part of the money is used to give heavy discount to consumers, and which has resulted in retailers being affected. It has also said that millions of people are being affected by these huge discounts which are being offered by e-commerce sites, and this is obviously disrupting the level playing field. Now, they have said that the transactions should be looked into by the authorities and has made RBI and Enforcement Directorate a party in this case. We remember 21 companies, e-commerce players have already been under scrutiny for FEMA violations. The Delhi High Court, a different bench of the Delhi High Court is already looking into the matter, but this petition says that not only those 21 players, but each and every e-commerce site which is getting FDI investment should be looked into.
Thanks for that, Arun. Now, while the Delhi High Court has given some headache for the marketplaces, there is a huge shot in the arm coming in from the Labour Ministry because the Labour Ministry today has directed both the EPFO and health insurance provider ESIC to exempt startups from any form of inspections for the first 3 years. Remember, exemption from inspections was one of the focal areas of Prime Minister Modi's Startup India action plan. So they've really followed through for that, and they've pushed for self-compliance, self-certification of these startups in the first few years of operations. This is a welcome move because there are so many variables when it comes to launching a startup, and there is already pressure from investors on the profitability side. So I guess exemption from a few labor laws in India will certainly go a long way in boosting the startup ecosystem.
Absolutely, Chandra. It is a shot in the arm for startups coming in over there. Now on to a shot in the arm for all e-tailers. It is the first sale season in the new year, and after Amazon, Flipkart says it has clocked healthy sales with fashion and mobile phones continuing to drive the demand. Here is a quick roundup of how the Republic Day sales have fared so far for Flipkart. It's the first sale of the new year, and e-tailers left no stone unturned to lure customers to their websites. From big banner ads and papers to tempting discounts, the big boys of e-commerce turned the Republic season into battleground. So how did India's largest e-tailer, Flipkart, fare? Flipkart says it witnessed a 30% jump in traffic compared to the non-sale days. While shoppers from Delhi, Bengaluru and Mumbai remain top customers, demand for Tier 1 and Tier 3 cities continued to grow, with Pune and Coimbatore topping the charts. Interestingly, while smartphones and home appliances continued to be the top searched categories, shoes and saris were a surprise addition. The e-tailer also sold more than 1 lakh units of Samsung Galaxy On 5 and On 7 smartphones, and power banks saw a 3 times jump in demand. Amazon, that recently concluded its sale, also said that they clocked in robust sales. Now, if you haven't indulged in shopping, Snapdeal and eBay's sale will end tomorrow, and Paytm has a host of cashback offers starting tomorrow.
Flipkart certainly showing strong sales there, but over to the big international lead for the day, where a major shake-up is in the works at Twitter months after Jack Dorsey took charge as CEO. They've seen 4 key departures, Jack Dorsey even tweeting about it. The 4 key departures include the head of engineering, the product chief, the HR chief, and also the head of media. With 4 key portfolios really gone, it remains to be seen how Jack Dorsey manages the show going forward, because remember, this is also coming at a time where Twitter is facing intense scrutiny from investors, and the pressure on profitability and monetization is only going up. But now we come to the final segment of the day, our number crunch, and the number we are crunching for you today is 1,724 crores. Why is that number significant? Because that's the loss that Amazon posted for the year 15-16, and this is really comparable to the sales of 1,024 crores that they posted for the same period. Now, it's really not possible to make an apple-to-apple comparison between the losses that Flipkart, Snapdeal and Amazon post, but I think the pace of loss at Amazon really gives you a sense of how hungry they are to play catch-up with the other rivals. That was a big number for the day, and this show's really been packed with e-commerce today. But what do we have next, Krishna?
Absolutely right, Chandra. Interesting times for e-commerce. 6-fold jump in sales, but at the same time, a whopping loss number. And it's not just one e-commerce player we're talking about over here. It's across the board in different formats and different versions. As you said, both apples and oranges together posting huge loss numbers, even as sales are growing exponentially. Interesting times is all I can say, Chandra. But with that, it is a wrap on ET Now, Startup Central. But coming up next is Market Watch, where we get you all the market action from the Wall Street and elsewhere. Keep watching ET Now. This is Kumar signing off.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/ETNow and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at ETNowLive. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/user/ETNow.